begin the current Daf, Mesech Kesuvos Daf, we begin the new parak, which continues on related discussions from the previous parak regarding the rights that a husband has by his wife, specifically in her nachasim, in her assets. Appreciate them joining with today's Daf. Chris Malzav is Moshe Jocelyn. Chasna Hasbanach. This is the Zivis Rabbi Eliyafa, Shavasach, Mazel, and Bracha. So what we're discussing today's Daf are when a woman gets married, so her property and her belongings remain hers, but her husband acquires certain rights to them in one of two ways. Something called Nechsisar Barzl. Nechsisar Barzl means to say it's the iron sheep, which that means to say that she's going to get them back exactly as they were. They are written into the Ksuba. The husband has all the rights to it, but when the marriage ends, she gets it in totality. Nechsimilog means plucking, which means to say the husband gets to pluck the payers, he gets to use it from the wife, but it's considered the wife. It's not written in the Ksuba, and it's really, for all practical purposes, it's really hers. Now, the Mishnah brings 4 cases of a woman selling nechsimilog properties. First case is property she acquired before she was even in Arusa, and now she's in Arusa. So before she even got engaged, she had these properties, she gets engaged, now she sells it. What's halacha? Case number 2, property she acquired after she was in Arusa, so she only got it after she was engaged, and now she's still in Arusa. What's halacha? Case number 3 is property she acquired before she was in Arusa or before she was a Nesua, and now she's in Nesua. Case number 4 is property that she acquired after she was in Nesua, and she's now in Nesua. We'll see different gradations of the rights that the husband has in his wife in regards to her ability to initially and after the fact have it considered as a sale. So we begin the current Daf Ayin Ches. We begin the new parak Keisha Shenafu. Says the Mishnah, case number 1. Again, as we said, we can see 4 cases in which the wife wants to sell or give away her nechsimilog properties. Case number 1 is a Isha Shenafu Nechasim. So a woman that falls for her the assets of what's called a nechsimilog, which it's her stuff. Even when she gets married, the husband's not going to own it. It's not nechsisar barzl, but he has the rights of the payers of its utility. Now, this is actually tisaris. She got these properties before she ever got engaged, and now she's engaged. So again, regarding Talmudic times, engagement was kedushin. Now, the husband doesn't have any rights in her nechsei milug when they're engaged, but he obviously acquires her as a wife. So it says the Mishnah, Moedim Besham and Basil. Both Besham and Basil agree. Shemecheres, when they send it, she could sell, she could give, v'kayim, and it's valid. She could do as she pleases with these assets. That's case number 1. Case number 2, there's nafalo mishnis arsa. Now, she didn't have these properties before she was engaged. After she was engaged, she has these nichsei milug that she inherits. V'shami Aimrim, they say temker. She could sell it when she's still engaged, because Rashi points out, as we're going to see later on in the Mishnah, if she's already married, that's not the case. But if she's still engaged, she got it when she was engaged, and if she's still engaged, V'shami says she could sell it because the husband doesn't have any rights in her nixi malug, even for payers when she's engaged. But if they say loy temker, no, she's not allowed to sell that, as we'll see in the Gemara, what's the reason for why Basil holds initially you cannot sell. But they both agree, if she did sell or give, it's going to be valid. So even if Basil holds initially she should not sell, if she did, he's going to agree to Bishamai that it's going to be valid. Now, regarding this second case, Amr Yehuda. Yehuda says the following words. He says, Amr Chacham Lefnei B'Gamliel. He quotes the sages that said in front of Gamliel. Even though we didn't mention any of these individuals, but that's how it was discussed regarding the second case we just said. The question they asked was, Hoyel b'zacha be'isha, since a chassan, he acquires his wife, right? Tonight by the chasna, we're going to have a kedushin together with the nesuin, but when he gives her the ring, so he acquires her. Talmudic times they did that, and then 12 months later they got married. But once he has rights in his wife, is he not going to acquire the rights in her nechasim and nechsi malug? Which the Gemara is going to explain. This question that the Chama asking, which part of this second case are they going on? There's 2 parts. There was the Liketchila and the B'diavad. Are they asking on the Liketchila Beishamai? Beishamai says she could sell. Of course, she could sell. Why could she sell? Her husband owns her. He owns her and her assets. Or is it on B'diavad Basil? Why, according to Basil, B'diavad if she sold is going to be valid? Why? Since he acquired the rights in her, he acquires the rights in the chasm. She shouldn't be able to sell off these nichsim milog. That's what the Gemara is going to explain. Which part are they asking on? But be that as it may, Amalahem will respond that he says, Allah chadashim on the new ideas. Meaning, regarding the cases we're going to shortly quote, of when she acquires these nichsim milog when she's married. Anu baishim, we're embarrassed that where did the Chacham get off saying that if she sells or she gives her nichsim milog, the husband can remove it from those who buy it? Which, what do I mean? That's bizarre. It's hers. It's not nichsim tzayim barzel. So even that we're embarrassed about, that when she's married, that she sells it, we're going to say, no, you can't sell it. We're going to revoke that sale. We're embarrassed about that halacha. You want to go ahead and now roll onto us the old stuff too, that which she has when she's narusa? Let alone this case of when she's married. What's your question regarding when she's narusa? As if you're saying that then the husband should have the rights to revoke it. That's not the case. So that was that dialogue. Now, case number 3 is Nafalah Mishanissus. She's already married, and some great uncle passed away. She inherits these nichsim milug. So Eilu Moedim, both Bisham and Basil agree, Shemachra benasna, that in this case, if she sells or if she gives it away, Shabal Meitzim Yalakuchas, this is the case that we said about the Chadashim. This is the new case that we do say, the husband removes it. Even that is, like I said, bizarre, why he gets the rights to do that, but she's already married, and he has the rights, and he actually eats the nichsim milug, the payers of the nichsim milug, so therefore we say, yeah, he could stop her from selling it. Now, case number 4, is actually, this is where, for example, let's say she's engaged, or before she even got engaged, and then she gets married. Then this is, so here, he says, if she sold it, meaning if she sold it, or she gave it away, then kaim is going to be valid. Meaning, case number 3 was she only got it after she was married. No, then everyone agrees the husband can take it from Lakuras. If she had it before she ever got married, and then she gets married, then Rule says that okay, then if she does sell it ultimately, it's going to be a valid sale. Now, another version of what we had just quoted before, in case number 2, Shalom Chanina ben Akavia. He says, Amru during the same type of discussion now on case number 4. They said,
how's case 1, case 4 different than case 1?
That's actually Tisares.
Basically also before she became Arusa.
This is actually Nissus.
Actually, this is, but it's, you said whether she was an Arusa or not.
Right, meaning whether she was engaged or not.
So it could have been already before she was an Arusa.
Right.
So that would be the same as the first one.
No, case number 1, you're allowed to go ahead and sell, and it's going to be okay. Case number 4, at least the wording in our Mishnah, is a b'diavad lashon. If she sold it, it's going to be okay. But that's regarding Nisuin. Meaning, if you're at Erisin now, or you're at Nisuin now, is the difference between case number 1 and case number 4. The difference is going to be, could you initially sell it, or is it only b'diavad a sale? Because Nisuin is more chamer, so Lil is saying that if she sold it, okay, then it's going to be kind. But it sounds like that's a difference. We'll see in the Gemara. But that's
the scenario is the same, just that the one is a kafir, one is the
But I'm saying, but it's a little different. That where is she now? Is she engaged now, or is she married now? Case number 1, she's only engaged now. Case number 4, she's married now. So on this, we have a similar type of a discussion. That I'm like, wait a second. And now here's where we see that Ramlil is mentioned as in part of this 4th case. So we understand why the Chacham are saying to Ramlil. They said, wait a second, she's married now. Since he has the rights in his wife, so we had asked this question by case number 2. The case number 2 was only that she was engaged. Now we're asking even a stronger case on case number 4. Case number 4, we're saying that the halach is going to be that so the question is, but why? If he's having rights in the wife, if he's married to her, shouldn't he have the rights to her Paris Menichsim Milug? How is it a valid sale if she sells it? So here also, Amalami says to them, Al Chadashim on the new cases, meaning when she inherited only after she was married. On the Boishim embarrassed that how could he revoke her sale? He doesn't own it, she owns it. You're rolling onto us the old cases which she had before she got married. And therefore again, if she had it from before she got married, that's case number 4, that even though she's married now, Milo said that the sale is going to be valid. Now the Mishnah ends off with a related idea that Reb Shimon Chelik ben Nechasim Nechasim, he actually differentiates depending on what type of assets they are. What does that mean? So the Mishnah explains. Nechasim Aydun Labal, if these are properties that were known to the husband, which he doesn't explain exactly what that is. So Leitimka, that actually she cannot sell. The Machbanasna, and if she actually sold it or gave it, but it's going to be void. She'enyan Dun Labal, if they're not known to the husband, these assets, Leitimka, she still cannot sell. But that's where he qualifies this. If she's married and she sells it, he's mechalik between if they're Yudun Labal or not. If they're not Yudun, then fine. But if they, it'll be valid after the fact. But if they are Yudun, then it's not going to be a valid sale. So the Gemara asks regarding the opening case, Maishna Reisha. What's the understanding of the opening case? Why by the Reisha, where if she had it before she got engaged? Deloy Pligi, we said no one disagrees, but Shem and Sil both agree that she could sell and she could give it and it's going to be valid. Umayshma Seifa. Well, how do we understand the second case, which is the case when she inherits it after she's engaged? The Pligi. That there they do disagree. In other words, why by the Reisha, Basil does not disagree? Maisa, now she's engaged. Because she went and she had inherited before she got engaged, you think that weakens the strength of the chassan? You tell me case number 2 that if she inherited Mishnah Zarsa, that then Basil agrees. That then they're disagreeing with Bishama. They hold loy timker, she can't sell it. Why? Because they're engaged. Okay, so what about it? Because engaged, so nice. The husband already acquired her with kedushin. So why by case number 1 if she had it before she didn't get engaged, but now she is engaged?
She's still engaged.
Why is they're engaged now? So who cares because she had it before they got engaged? Why would that make it that she could sell it versus case number 2? So Amr Rabbi they said, and the Shiva Rabbi is like this. By the case of the Reisha, the first case, Bischusa Nafu. She was a single girl. Her husband had no rights in her, and not in her stuff, only herself. But Seifa, the second case, Bischusa Nafu. The husband already, the chassan already had rights in her and in her estate. So in the inception of this rights that she has in these objects is a difference between the case number 1 and the case number 2. But says the Gemara, wait a second. If that's the case in B'schus enough, you're telling me case number 2, Basil says she cannot sell because when she inherited, she was already engaged and the husband has rights in her. So how do you understand the second half of Basil's halach in case number 2? When she sells or she gives it away, why is it valid? Why is it any different than marriage? By marriage you say that no, is not kayim, it's batal. The husband can be taken away from lekuchas, so why is engagement any different? So rather the Gemara explains a different approach. Reisha, the case of the Reisha is vadai b'schus naflu. That's a definitive in her possession and her rights that it was. So therefore, it's not going to be taken away when she gets to Erison, which, as we're going to explain right now, is only a suffix, whether they enter the husband's possession. On the other end, Seifa, the second case, when it comes to her when she's already engaged, Eimer B'schus, I could say that maybe it's coming into her possession. Eimer B'schus, I could say maybe it's coming into his possession. What does that mean? So Rashi explains. Erison makes a suffix Nesuin. What does that mean? Erison makes a suffix Nesuin. Maybe it's going to come to Nesuin. Maybe it's not going to. We don't know if they're going to end up going all the way to marriage. So that's why it's somewhere in the middle. So like it's Chiloy Timka. Initially she shouldn't sell because the Maisa, the Chassan has rights in her. But in Machar, but if she sells or if she gives, it's going to be valid because ultimately we don't know if it's going to come to marriage. So it's not the same as Nisuin. So therefore it's this halfway of like she shouldn't sell, but if she does, it's going to be valid. Now, when we had this case number 2, the Mishnah quoted the following conversation. It says, that since now that she's engaged, the husband acquires rights in her, so he shouldn't acquire her nechassim. How can she go ahead and sell her nechassim? So you look at the following question, which already alluded to in the Mishnah, Rabbi Huda, that he quotes the Rabbanan who said to him, Mulil, Alikatchila? Are they disagreeing regarding the initial? They're saying that why does Beis Shammai hold that she could initially sell it when she inherits it as Narusa? But if the husband has rights in the girl that he got engaged to, shouldn't he have the rights in her assets? That's what they're asking on. But regarding the B'di'evet, the after the fact, that Basil agrees and says it's going to be valid, that they didn't have a problem. Or maybe a Di'evet. Maybe they're disagreeing this Chacham and Gamliel even on after the fact. And they want to say that no, if she's Machrav and Nasma, it's going to be bottled, and it's not going to be kind because they're saying, what do you mean? Husband has rights in her, how could you go ahead and sell? So what was the case that they were asking, or so to speak, disagreeing on? So it's continuing with base, says Gemara Tashman's being a raya, the time learned in the Brisa. Rabbi Yehuda, the Brisa quotes this conversation, and just a little bit more elaborated as often is in the Brisa. Yehuda says, wait a second. When a woman is married, it's his wife. When he's engaged, it's also his wife. So therefore, just like Zu, when she's married, which she got the Nichsim Lug when she was married. The halacha, as we know, everyone agrees, is Machar Batal. The Mishnah says clearly the Baal's Moitzim Yal Kuchis, and the sale is going to be void. So, Abzu. So it will be here when she inherits it when she's Narusa. It should also be Machar Batal. It should also be that the sale should be void, even if she's still Narusa. To which Amr Hamid said to them, no, al chadashim on the new cases. Meaning that you want to say that regarding a case when she's married, you want to compare that just like we say that the sale is void. On those cases, on the Boishim, we're embarrassed on what we say that is batal. But you want to roll onto us also in old cases of the case when she's engaged? Oh, says the Gemara, no, we can infer from the fact that they said to him, here also the sale should be batal. What does it mean, machar batal? The machar batal would say that it's b'di'evet, you already did it already. Oh, obviously di'evet kama, obviously going on the case of even after the fact was also difficult to the Rabbanan, that therefore they're disagreeing even on the case of Beis Hillel, of not only on the Ketchila Beis Shammai, but even when Beis Hillel was machar and nasnei ka'im, on that they're saying no, that even that we find difficult. That the machar should be batal just like it's batal by nisu and shema. No, so obviously we answer that question that the case that the Chum is disagreeing on Mulil on case number 2 was that they didn't even hold not only Beis Shammai that you can't even sell it, they disagree even on Beis Hillel, but the Ebed that it's going to be a machar and nasa, it's not going to be kind. Now, Tanya, we learned over there in the Brisa that actually Omer Chanina ben Akavia, he says when the Chacham were litigating this case in front of the Chachamim regarding when she sells it when she's Narusa, loikach, that was not necessary for Hashiva and Lila Chachamim to say the words as was quoted in the Tanakama of the Brisa that, oh, for the new cases we're embarrassed, why are you bringing on the old cases too? No. Says Reb Chanina ben Akavia, Reb Lila has a very good answer. Obviously there's a difference between when you're in Arusa and Nesua. So that's not what he responded to that question. Because he didn't have to say, oh, Baishmanu. No, I'll tell you, Nesua is more severe. There it's going to be machabatul. Narusa, you don't have as much rights. You don't even eat from the place when you're in Narusa. Ella kachashim, rather he has a different nusach. What Rabbi responded was, no. If you're going to say by a married woman, that yes, there if she sells some look, it's going to be batlish game balazaka b'mitziyasa, because the husband has the rights to her mitzias, or might see that to her handiwork, if a person to nullify her vows. What are you asking me from the case of Arusa? Their husband has no rights to live in Siyasa, not in her found objects, not regarding her earnings, not to nullify her vows, meaning by himself. As a chasna, he could only do it with the father with him, as the Mishnah teaches in the Dharam, that Aviva Baal Mafrin did out. And that's why the sale is going to be valid. Don't ask on me from the case in the Surah where I say it's going to be void. Now, Amalai, they said to him, Rebbe, our teacher, we still have a difficulty with what you're trying to answer. Because Machran, some take out the next word, law. Actually, this is if she sells it before she got married. We could understand what you're saying, that when she's selling, when she's still Narusa, because yes, the husband doesn't have as much rights in Narusa as he has in Nesua. But what's if Nisis or Akach Machar? What happens if these there's assets that she had inherited before she got married, but then she subsequently gets married and then she sells it? Ma word halacha be? We will say to them, Abdu this also, my husband sends a kind. Since she didn't inherit it when she was in the Nesua, she inherited it beforehand, if she sells it or she gives it, it's going to be valid. So on that they said to him, wait a second. Since now that he's married, he gets the rights of his wife. For Mitzias, and the Maisi Dagman, first shouldn't he have the rights in her as assets that the Chum were instituted that he could eat the pears in her lifetime? How could it be that she could sell off and it's going to be Kayim? That, says Rabbi Shloimy Schwartzberg, is what he responded. He said to them, not for the case of comparing Yesua to Arusa. That he didn't have to say al Chadashim. For that, he had a different answer like we just quoted. Regarding the case of when she inherited before they got married, now they're married, that we had to say al Chadashim on the Baishim. For the newer cases, this is that even when she inherits it, when they're married, we're embarrassed. You're rolling on to us the old stuff. That's what he said. That's even when she inherited, when she's married, I have difficulty with. Okay, that they say the machar is going to be batal. Regarding the new case, but regarding the old cases, that most definitely wouldn't be appropriate for us to nullify that. Now the problem is, says the Gemara Banantna, we learned in our Mishnah that regarding Reb Chanina's opinion himself, the Mishnah says, Achlei nisis v'nisis. We spoke about what was case number 4, that if she didn't get married yet, then she got married. What did he say? And that's what he said, the Lashon we were Madaik then, regarding the question he had asked. We said, if she sells it, if she gives it away, then what's the halacha? Kayim. It's going to be valid. Now that Lashon sounds like it's going to be only b'diavad. How could you tell me Reb Chanina's halacha that what were the words that we just quoted in the Brisa? He said since they asked him actually nisis v'nisis. What did he respond? He says Avdu meicheres v'nisenis v'kayim. He says yes, you could sell it and it's going to be okay. The problem is the wording in the Mishnah sounds like it's only b'di'evet im machra b'nas nekayim. That's the Gemara's question. The Gemara's asking, according to Chanin ben Akavia, Ramlil is saying that if she got it before she was married, and then she got married, that's what we call the Yeshama. That's the old case. The new case is when she inherits it when she's married. Then you write Machar Bat. But regarding if she inherited before they got married, then they got married, what's halacha going to be? The words of the Brisa was, Meicheres v'neisenes, which is a Lashon L'Getchila. Problem is, the words of our Mishnah seems to contradict that. Our Mishnah says, Im machra v'nas nakayim. Sounds like a Lashon b'diavad. So that seems to contradict Reb Chanina ben Akavia. Rabbi Zeredi says, you're right, today you have to amend the reading of the Mishnah to say mecheres v'nesens v'kayim. That's actually, so not like we had answered before, that regarding the case of Ashta Nisarsa, the Nisarsa, here it sounds like it's the same. That it's not only b'diavad, it's even like a tchila. Mecheres v'nesens v'kayim, it's going to be okay, even. So case number 4 and case number 1 would seem to be the same. That everyone agrees, yeah, you could sell it and you could do it. It's not going to be any different than if it was actually the Sarasa and the Sarasa. And it's going to be even according to Gamliel at least. You have to know who says what. But even it sounds more lenient than what we quoted case number 2, which is she got it when she was engaged. And then she's engaged. We said Basil holds that you shouldn't initially sell it. Gamliel is saying that if you got it before you were married, which sounds like even when you're engaged, and now you're even married, that's even like a chila. So again, that would sound not like the way case number 2 was, according to what he's quoted in our Mishnah. Now, the Papa says like Kash. He says, so answer number 1 we gave was you have to amend the reading of the Mishnah. Papa says, no, you don't have to amend the reading of the Mishnah. It's not true. One is a Lashon b'di'eved, one is Lashon l'ketchila. Our Mishnah says a Lashon b'di'eved, if she sold it, it should be Huda l'Gamliel. That he's the one who's concluding, and he's quoted in our Mishnah too, he's the one that's concluding this in our Mishnah. Meaning he holds, according to Gamliel, that even when she's engaged, as we quoted this in the Mishnah, you cannot sell the ketchila. So that is like the way we quote in the Mishnah. So for sure the case that when she got married before she sold it, for sure you cannot sell the ketchila. So the Lashon b'di'evet is appropriate from Yehuda's version of Gamliel. Now, Rashi points out, even though Reb Chanina is mentioned at the end, he's going on the Sefer, it's not that he agrees to Reb Yehuda, that Gamliel is only im machra, rather you could be meches like a tchila. Why did Reb Chanina respond in the Mishnah? He explains in the Brisa. And therefore the Brisa that says that even machra like a tchila is Reb Chanina, by Kavi Lebed Gamliel. So again, it's machlekes tanoim according to Gamliel. In this case number 4 of Achlei Nisim and Nisis, if it's only b'di'evet, like we have in our Mishnah, that's Rabbi Yehuda's version of Glil, or it's even like, and that makes sense because like in the Mishnah we had said, even Arusa is B'diavad for sure. If subsequently Nissa should be B'diavad. The case of Likatchila is Rabbi Chanina ben Akavi, he disagrees. He holds this case of Ashley Nissa Nissa is going to be even Likatchila, that she could go ahead and sell it. Says the Gemara, wait a second. And this was the point we were just pointing out before. Beis Hillel in the Mishnah says, even if she's selling when she's engaged, Likatchila not. And if the consumer is coming to court to consult, we're going to tell them, no, don't buy it. For sure she got married. So how could you say that you could even Likatchila sell it? You sound like Beis Shammai. So the Gemara in the Halachim, and this is what he's saying. He's saying, not like the Tana of our Mishnah. He's saying that, no, it's not true. Beis Shammai does not disagree if she's engaged, and even if she's engaged and get married, that you could even Likatchila sell it. The only case she cannot sell it, and it's going to be bottled, is if she got it when she was married, and then she sold it. Now, so therefore, again, there's different opinions, as we see, regarding the halachic understanding of our Mishnah. Now the Gemara goes down to the Amirom right now. So what is exactly the halacha? Rabbi Shmuel Tavayu, they both say that bein shenafel and nechasim actually, so whether that she inherited nechasim until they got engaged. Bein shenafel and nechasim, so whether they got it from when they were engaged, and venisis, then she gets married and then she sells it. So it doesn't make it when she got it. If ultimately she gets married, then she sells it. The husband can remove it from the Lekuchas. So Gemara says, come on, who is that like? Is the like Rabbi Yehuda, because Rabbi Yehuda said at least b'diavad it's going to be a valid sale when it was actually nissus v'nissus, and v'loi kireb chanina ben Akavi. It's not chanina ben Akavi either, because for sure not like him, because he holds even like a tchila, you could sell what you got before you were married, and then you got married. So the Gemara, Inu, you're right, Rabbi Shmuel, ad Amik Rabbi Seinu. There's another Tanoic opinion. They say like the Rabbi Seinu, the Tanoic of the Rabbi Seinu. Rabbi Seinu, Chazar ben Nimnu, our teachers, they went back and they counted on what the opinions were, and they said, Bein Shadafalo Achlayt Tesas, whether they inherited before they got engaged. Bein Shadafalo Mishn Tesas, whether she got it when she was already engaged. But if in this is, if she ultimately got married and then she sells it, about Maitzim Yalakuchas, the husband can remove from the Kuchas. Ultimately, when she sold it, he had rights in her pairs of Nixon and Lug, and therefore she cannot sell it. So therefore, that's another Tanakh opinion. That's who Rabbi Shmuel actually ruled like. So the defining criterion would be if she sold it after she got married. Now the Mishnah said, Mishanissus, if she was already married, and then she sold it, and she only inherited when she got married, both Beis Shammai still agree that the husband could be Meitzim Yalakuchas. Says the Gemara, let's say that our Mishnah supports the takana that they had instituted Usha. Because Amar B'Yisrael Chanin, they says, B'Usha is kinu, in this place Usha, the Sanhedrin instituted, She'isha shamacha b'nechsi milug, that if a woman sells from her milug assets, v'chaya bala, and the husband's alive, u'meisa, and then she dies, habal moitzim yal kuchas, husband can take away from the kuchas. That's exactly the halacha of the Mishnah, that the husband can take away what she sold from the kuchas during his lifetime. Says Gemara, no, it's not the same thing. Masnit in our Mishnah is only talking about b'chayeha. It's talking about the husband can remove it when she's still alive, with the payas. So he could eat the payas in her lifetime. But when she dies, her sale is valid and it's going to go back to the buyer. And even if she dies when the husband's still alive, the husband's not going to inherit her. That's what they came along Takanas Usha, and they said even more than that. They said even B'kuv Karka, even regarding the property itself, not just the payas, B'lachat Misa, and after she dies, that the husband's going to inherit her. That was more like Takanas Usha than that of the Mishnah. Now the Mishnah said Reb Shimon Chaylik ben Nechasim, he differentiated, depends what type of assets. He said that there are certain Nechasim that if she would sell it would be valid, certain assets if she sells is going to be bottled. So we said it depends if it's Yeduin or not Yeduin. So it says the Gemara, Eilein Yeduin, Veiluhein She'en Yeduin. What's considered assets that he knew about, which is not going to be a sale, and what's those that he did not know about, that's not going to be a sale. So Rabbi Shloimy says Yeduin, known assets are mekakoi, are properties. Now it's on that idea that he had married her, so to get to use the payers of those properties. So therefore, the sale is going to be void because he was anticipating that he's going to inherit these properties. And he do not know, and the metallam who blinds, he doesn't know exactly what she has. That he doesn't know about it, and that he's not having in mind. That if she sells is going to be valid. Now Rabbi Yochanan says no. Both movable items and properties are considered stuff that he knows. He knows she has a car, he knows she has a beach ball, he knows all these stuff that she has, and he's married with that intention, and she can't sell any one of those. What's considered not known is called Yeshivas Khan. It's that she lives over here, but she inherited assets in overseas. And that's something he does not know about. And that he's not married with that intention, and therefore those things she could sell off. Similar in the Bryce alien chain, what's considered not known? Because she shows Khan, if she lives over here, she never that a contribution would be considered the case of Shein Du Labal, and that's going to be that even though she shouldn't sell it, but if B'machim Nazakayim, in contrast to Nachas Medul Labal, that there, even if she sells, it's going to be possible. Thank you to any time. Those things.